Hey there, my fellow Whovians and Whoninots. Today we're going to be discussing kind of a Doctor Who spin-off. I referenced one of the actors in my last review. If you haven't checked it out, please do so. But today we're going to look at Adventures in Time and Space, which was I believe it was a 2013. I'll edit it there. I was wrong. Just checked. I got it right. First try, let's go. So this movie kind of deals with the origins of Doctor Who, how it was made originally, how they brought everything together from just the basic idea of it to, well, there was some lightning there, fun. And then to its kind of original broadcasting and a little bit beyond that to William Hartnell's career as the Doctor. Now, when this originally came out, I didn't really know that much about the origins of the show. You know, I know William Hartnell was the original Doctor. It looks like it's raining, so if you hear any extra audio, it's the rain hitting the windows. Whoops. So when this movie originally came out, I really didn't know that much on the origins of how the show originally started. You know, I knew, of course, that William Hartnell was the first Doctor, and that was basically all I knew about the origins of Doctor Who. Some of the things that I found really fascinating that I learned from this series, from this movie, I should say, was the fact that, you know, Verity Lambert was the first female producer in BBC history, which, you know, I think it's fascinating that a show that has become so progressive in its ideals started off as, you know, really, really progressive. You know, the first ever female producer in BBC history started Doctor Who. I think that's absolutely amazing. But it wasn't just Jessica Raine who performed as Verity. I think I'm saying her name wrong. Let me know in the comments if I'm saying it wrong. But also David Bradley, you know, playing William Hartnell, playing the Doctor. Super strange thing that can only really happen in Doctor Who, but I really enjoyed his performance because it kind of shows the two different sides of William Hartnell and how he played the Doctor, where he was, you know, kind of grumpy and can be seen as being very sarcastic and kind of not really interested in a lot of people, what they have to say, but to those that he really cared about, to those who he really loved, he was very sweet. He was very kind and kind of like a teddy bear. So it was really interesting to see David Bradley play those two sides of William Hartnell and the first Doctor. One of my favorite scenes that kind of shows David Bradley's softer side was the scene in the park where one of those kids walks up to him. It's like, oh my God, it's the Doctor, it's Doctor Who, and he's very nice to him. He's like, treats him like, you know, he's in character. He plays along with the kids. It's a really sweet moment, and it's probably one of my favorite parts of the movie. It was just like that little snippet just really sells the movie for me. But let's move on and talk a little bit more about the history of the show and kind of how they show it in the movie. So one of the things I didn't really know at all before I watched this was the fact that Doctor Who aired the day after JFK's assassination. November 28th, 1963 is when they aired it. So I really found that fascinating, like absolutely fascinating. It's a fact that you wouldn't really know just watching the current Who, and I picked up on a lot of really, really cool things on this movie. Like, one of my favorite Easter eggs is when the Cybermen first show up. You can see them in full costume, and then it shows him smoking a cigarette, which is kind of a reference to this iconic photo of one of the Cybermen, you know, taking on a break, just getting a smoke in. And it's obviously a different era, different Cyberman, but I love that little Easter egg. I really thought it was cute. Another one of the Easter eggs I kind of liked, it's kind of an Easter egg, was one of the original companions appeared in this movie as the doorman. I saw that and I was like, there he is. There's my guy. Some other things I would really, really like to mention would be just how this movie really embodies the 1960s, from the costuming to the sets and the recreations of the original Doctor Who sets. I really, really loved that. It felt like I was actually there, which I really appreciate. Good set design, good costuming. It's all really helps to tell the story. I personally really like that. There is this really big sense of like nostalgia, even though I wasn't even alive during that era. I wasn't even close to being alive during that era of Doctor Who, but it's the sense of looking back that really pulls you into the story. And I don't even think you really need to be a Doctor Who fan to enjoy this, because the story of this is more of the story of William Hartnell and, you know, how he grew to love a role so much and how he thought he was irreplaceable and he was the show. And then finding out you're not irreplaceable. You can be recast. You can basically have the show move on without you. And that's a story that's really fascinating, because when they first cast William Hartnell, when they first started the show, there was no such thing as regeneration. That wasn't really a thing. It was only due to the fact that William Hartnell's health declined so much that they just had to write in the fact that, hey, this doctor's gonna change face. They didn't even have a name for it back then. They didn't call it regeneration. They didn't call it like rejuvenation or anything like that. He just changed his face, which, you know, went to make the show last for 50 plus years, which, very smart writing. We'd love to see it. And when we get to the point where William Hartnell's health does become an issue, he has a hard time remembering lines. He already had a hard time remembering his lines, but it's becoming even worse. He's not as easy to work with, so they have to replace Doctor Who. It's really sad to see the show leaving his hands when he doesn't want it to. It's one of the things that has been keeping him going. It's one of the highlights of his life. The scene where he breaks down and says, I don't want to go. I'm not ready. That was a really hard scene to watch. Just, what else is there to say? He didn't want to go. We get to the ending, which is really heartfelt, beautifully done, just an amazing ending. When he is on the TARDIS set for the last time, he's just looking around. You can kind of tell he's not really there. He's really upset. He doesn't want to go. He wishes he could keep this going, but he doesn't really know what the future holds for him or the show. Then he looks over his shoulder and sees Matt Smith as the 11th Doctor. When I first saw this, I didn't really get this. You know, it was kind of like a little, I felt like it was a weird Easter egg, or there's a reference. I'm like, why is Matt Smith here? Why is he with William Hartnell? I didn't get it. But the more times I watched it and the older I got, I realized Matt Smith's purpose there is to show him it's okay. You can let go. You've done enough. You've assured that the story of the Doctor in Doctor Who will live on and will continuously live on. You can rest. He did enough. And he did his best, and his best was absolutely brilliant. William Hartnell did an absolutely brilliant job playing Doctor Who. Alright, thank you so much for watching my latest video, kind of about Doctor Who, a Doctor Who spin-off, I guess. If you liked it, give it a like. If you have any recommendations for what you'd like to see next, leave it in the comments section down below, and please consider subscribing.